Hi everyone, thank you for joining this session. This session is all about electronics and communication and refrigeration courses in South Australia and future state pathways. Today we are joined by Ms. Mai. She is a registered migration agent from Aussizz Group Northbridge in Western Australia with 5 years of experience. She is here to help our students make the best possible decision. Our expert will be waiting to take your questions. So please post your question in the chat box and we will answer the question at the end of this session. Also, we have some very exciting giveaways for our attendees. We want to take the session deep and interactive and we encourage questions and feedback. We have a bumper cash prize to claim for the ones who leaves the most descriptive review under the Facebook post. Tag your friends and use hashtag Aussizz Education Summit 2022 and Aussizz group in a comment section in the post I just shared on the chats. Also, the most participative audience member from the chat box is eligible for a free giveaway such as free PTE coaching, IELTS coaching, PR consultation, etc. We encourage you to come be a part of this summit. Now I would like Ms. Mai to carry on and she will be explaining you all about the future stay pathways.
Okay, thank you very much, Nero. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Let's start then. I'll just share screen presentation. Can everyone see the PPT? All right, welcome everyone. So today's topic I'd like to discuss for you would be, first up, the Provisional and Full Skills Assessment, the Job Ready Program, Trades Recognition Australia or TRA, the actual occupation of electronics trade worker and refrigerator mechanics, and the general skilled migration visas. So let's start. I just want to advise everyone, if you don't know already, Aussizz Group, we provide a lot of services. A few of these services I would like to provide to tell you is, oh, I'm losing my PPT. 1 second. What's happened here? Bear with me. Okay, let's continue. We provide services such as skills assessment, professional year, AET application, expression of interest, general skilled migration visa, employer-sponsored visa. So all these consultations would require $110, and then we would be able to progress from there. Okay, let's talk about the permanent residency pathways for trades courses. You need to know a few things before you actually get onto the pathway for PR, all right? So steps to PR through trades course. Step number 1, you need to complete 2 years of an Australian qualification study, so at least 92 weeks of study. You need to gain at least 360 hours of paid employment. You need to apply for a provisional skills assessment from Trades Recognition Australia, and then of course you need to apply for the graduate visa, subclass 485, for you to be able to legally work full-time in Australia to satisfy requirements for skills assessment. Okay. Through Trades Recognition Australia, there is the Job Ready program that you must partake in to get the full skills assessment at the end. The initial step is, there's 4 steps. The initial one will be the provisional skills assessment. Step 2 will be the job ready employment. Step 3 will be the job ready work assessment. And then the final, step 4 will be the job ready final assessment. So the first step of JRP, you need to apply for the provisional skills assessment to get it out of the way before you can apply for the graduate visa, subclass 485. This will enable you to get full-time work rights. So once TRA verifies the authenticity of your Australian qualification and employment and or vocational placement then they will be able to provide you with the successful outcome letter of your provisional skills assessment. You need that letter to be able to be granted the graduate visa. Okay, so you need to show that to immigration during the time when you are still waiting to be granted the graduate visa. Once you have that letter in your possession, you can upload that onto your visa application for your graduate visa, and then and only then would immigration grant you the graduate visa after that. So the requirements for the provisional skills assessment is that you have to have held an international student visa to study in Australia, and you've completed successfully the courses that you studied. So the qualification that's relevant to the occupation assessed by TRA and is awarded by CRICOS. Okay, so what is the job ready employment? What does it entail? It kind of requires that you need to have work experience of at least 12 months, or there is exception of people could complete the job ready employment within 9 months, depending on certain conditions, but usually it's 12 months. So you must complete around 1,725 hours of paid employment, and you must complete within the 12 months, okay, of the start date of your job ready employment. The employment must be closely related to your assessed occupation, okay, and you must keep a monthly journal during this job ready employment program. Okay, to be eligible to even do the step 2, the job ready employment, you need to already have in your possession a successful outcome letter from TRA for your provisional skills assessment. You would have already lodged an application for the graduate visa, so class 485, and you have secured a full-time job in your nominated occupation, okay? And you must have at less than 4 months remaining on your 485 visa. The job ready work placement assessment determines if you are operating at the required skill level, and it is conducted by an assessor from TRA, and is assessed on the basis of the activities you have to perform during the employment. So I just want to stress that during this time when you're actually into this program, there should be no fear, because it's nothing like rocket science where you need to know any more than what you normally do every day when you go to work. So if the job requires you to perform the tasks, use different tools or equipment that you normally do on an everyday basis, that's what the assessor will be looking at, to see whether you are capable to use those equipment in that nominated occupation that you hold, okay? So you need to provide evidence of pay slips that you have at least 863 hours of paid employment, and that you have kept the journal for a minimum of 12 months. So the job ready final assessment. So to be eligible for the job ready final assessment, you have to have already completed step 1, 2, and 3 of the job ready program. After successfully completing this, you will receive a positive skills assessment from TRA to recognise you in that particular occupation. And that's what you need to get onto the pathway of PR later on. So all up, it's the job ready final assessment. To be eligible, you must finish your provisional skills assessment, have completed successfully the job ready workplace assessment, showed evidence of pay slips all up of 1,725 hours of paid employment, and have kept the 12 months of job ready journals. All right. So we move over to the visa options for refrigerator mechanics. I just want to talk to you a little bit about what does a refrigerator mechanic do, to give you an idea. So they assemble, install, maintain, repair industrial or commercial and domestic refrigerators, refrigeration systems and equipment. Okay. In this particular occupation, you may require to have a license or be registered. Okay, so keep that in mind. The average salary per year is around $83,000, so that's pretty good for a trades occupation. So let's talk about what are the visa options for this particular occupation. This occupation is on the medium and long-term strategic skills list of occupations that Australia needs. If you can find this occupation on this list, you know that you have a chance for PR pathway. So, which means that you also can put your expression of interest down to apply for the different visas available to you, such as the subclass 189, the skilled independent, the subclass 190, subclass 491, subclass 491 family sponsored, subclass 485, just because it's on the medium and long-term list, you will be eligible to apply for the graduate visa. If you cannot find this occupation on the medium and long-term list, you will not qualify to apply for the graduate visa. There's other subclass 482. For this one, subclass 482 Dharma as well, these kind of subclass visa is for employee sponsorship. So if you choose to follow this pathway, you can always, if you work for at least 2 years work experience as a refrigerator mechanics, and if you have trouble getting invited for the other visas, then there's always a chance that your employer can sponsor you for this subclass 482. Okay. And then there's other subclass 187, 494, 407. Visa options for refrigerator mechanics. So different states have the occupations available potentially for this particular occupation. Some states don't have, such as WA. When you see that there's a red cross, you're not eligible to apply for WA because on the occupation list for WA state nomination, we do not have that particular occupation on the list. It would seem then that WA state does not need any more refrigerator mechanics. That's why it's not offered or allowed. So you can see when there's green ticks around a different state and territory, you know that it's available on their state nomination or territory nomination occupation lists. So this will give you an indication of potentially for people who are thinking to study this, the course relevant to become a refrigerator mechanic, then you would choose to opt to move to a certain state to study at the course provider there. Then these are the areas where they are offering to help you to get you on the PR pathway. Okay, so I think we would have covered that already in terms of all the visa type available to you to apply for PR using this occupation. Okay, let's move on to a different occupation. Visa options for electronics trade worker. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what it entails as this trade worker. So this particular occupation will help you to learn how to install, maintain and repair equipment and systems such as audio and visual reproduction equipment, home entertainment systems, computers and electronic security systems. On average, you'd be earning around $70,000 a year. There are specializations within this particular occupation that you could also consider. You could also see yourself becoming as an audio-visual technician, a fire alarm technician, home theatre technician, security technician, and video technician. So there's more flexibility for you. As you can see, also all those ticks, green ticks, these occupations available in certain states and Northern Territory. Now, for the 190 and 491 visa subclass, Dharma is a different area, it's a designated area for remote, really isolated areas within Australia. And right now, it's not offered, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's talk about expression of interest. What is it? For me, I see that in general, it's like a proposal to the world, a proposal to immigration that you have a score that you've collated from your work experience, from your education, from your age. It all adds up to what kind of points you have. And then you lodge an expression of interest and announce to the world, this is me, this is how many points I have, and I would express my interest for this particular subclass, either the 189, 190, 491. So to be eligible to apply and lodge the actual expression of interest application online through SkillSelect, you need to generally have IELTS or PTE English that is, no less than 6.0 in each band, competent English. And this is usually for trades occupations. And for most professional occupations, you need at least 7 in each band for IELTS or PT equivalent. You need to achieve at least 65 points by the time of your 189 visa application. So usually when you add up all of the points in terms of you collecting 5 points for your work experience, 5 points for professional year, 10 or 20 points for your level of English, and etc., you need to collate at least 65 points to be eligible to put your name down or lodge the EUI, expression of interest application. We're talking about trades today, so for trades you must have the full skills assessment from TRA, Trades Recognition Australia. You must have that successful outcome letter in your hand at the time when you lodge the actual application of expression of interest. Okay, so we're talking about the subclass 189, the skilled independent visa. It's a points tested stream. It does not need to have a sponsor or a nominator. You do not need to have an employer to sponsor you. You do not need to have a state to sponsor you. You must be invited to apply for the actual visa, subclass 189. You must be under 45 years old to be invited. You must have full skills assessment. And you must have 6 each in IELTS because it's trades. You must have the nominated occupation in the medium and long-term strategic skills list. So you must find this occupation, and it is, so I can confirm that you'll find this on the medium and long-term strategic skills list of occupation that Australia needs. So that is why you will be eligible to apply for the subclass 189 later. And this will let you stay permanently in Australia. You'll get your PR. Skilled independent visa, subclass 189 process. So the first start is you need to check that your occupation's on the list. You must also remember you have to have at least 65 points to your name to be eligible to apply for the subclass 189. You must submit the expression of interest online in SkillSelect. You have to wait. Now, if you never get invited or you never receive an email from SkillSelect to invite you for any visa, 189, 190, 491, then you need to know that you've got nothing. You're not yet on the pathway for PR yet. So some people literally, if their 485 visa expires and they don't, and they still have not been invited any time, they could just give up and go home. Or else you think that you will get invitation anytime in the near future, then you need to apply for another visa, like a student visa or any other visa that you qualify for, to give you more time for you to still stay in Australia to wait. With the subclass 189, it's still okay for you to go home because the EUI when you lodge an application for EUI, it lasts for 2 years. So specifically for the 189 subclass, even if you decide to give up and go home, but if they still end up inviting you within the 2 years, there's every chance that you can apply immediately online for your 189 and you wait to get your PR that way. Okay. Other than that, to be on the process, you have to gather all your documents and then apply. So for this particular subclass 189, once you receive an invitation, you have within 60 days to accept and apply and lodge the actual visa application online. If you forget, 1 day later, you've lost this chance, so be careful. Usually people apply immediately once they receive the invitation and not wait 60 days. For the skilled nominated visa subclass 190, you must be nominated by the state. You must have at least 65 points, including the 5 points from the state. You must be invited by the state to apply. You must be under 45 to be invited, must have the nominated occupation in the state's occupation list, and it lets you stay permanently once granted. So similar to the subclass 189, the only difference is if you receive an invitation from 𝐒𝐿𝐴 for the subclass 190, you do not immediately apply online for the 190 on the 𝐕𝐾𝐬 account, but you have to go through that state nomination. So you have to lodge an application to, let's say, the WA state nomination, and then what happens is you wait. When you lodge an application, you must provide all the required documents to prove that what you have claimed in your EUI points, like if you have claimed 80 points to your name for EUI, then all those points related to your age, your qualification, your work experience, your English level, competency and all that needs to match to get the points. For WA state, it usually takes from 2 to 4 to 6 weeks processing time for them to come back, okay? And when they do, once they've fully processed the application, accepted it, that everything's legit, they will provide you with a PDF of an attachment of the state nomination approval, as well as an agreement form. So usually you sign that agreement form and then you send back to them, and it would take another 1 or 2 days before they actually literally nominate you to now go online to Immigration, 𝐸ME account, and then lodge the 190 visa application. Similarly, the skilled work provisional visa subclass 491, you need to be nominated to apply by a state or territory government, or an eligible relative must sponsor you. Okay, so that's for the family sponsored. You must have an occupation on the relevant skilled occupation list from the state's list, have a suitable skills assessment for the occupation, you must wait to be invited to apply, you must satisfy the points test, and you apply for the permanent residency after meeting certain conditions, and then you can apply for the 191 visa, and that will later give you your PR. The difference between 491 visa subclass as opposed to the 189 and the 190 subclass visa is this. If you are ever lucky enough to be invited for the subclass 189 or 190, then you should know that these two subclasses give you direct PR pathway. So if I could say to you that before COVID, 2 years ago, anybody who got invited for the 189 or 190, we would quote and give them an idea that, we apply online. As of today, you should wait about a month to 2 to 4 to 6 months maximum before you get your PR in your hand. That's what we describe as direct PR pathway. As simple as that, usually. But then after COVID hit 2 years ago, we are seeing a severe delay in the processing time from immigration side. So some people who think that they would expect to get the PR after 1 or 2 months of lodging the actual 189 or 190 visa, they've been delayed nearly over a year, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months sometime. Unfortunately, that's how it is. We hope that in the near future it would be better, because we're now living with COVID, so there should be less of a delay of this. As opposed to the subclass 491, the day that you receive the invitation to apply for the 491, and then you apply to WA to the state nominations office, you get cleared after about a month or less, a few weeks after that. Then you have within 60 days to apply online to immigration for the 491 visa. When you lodge the application and you wait, it could take how long? It could take less than a year or so. But once you receive the subclass 491 in your hand, the requirement is this: you receive the actual subclass 491. You don't receive a PR as such, but it requires you that you were you record the subclass 491, giving you 5 years to stay back in Australia, with the condition that you need to earn 53,900 per year for 3 years within 5 years. If you can do that, then you would meet the requirement, opposed to other applications as well, but you generally meet the requirement to then apply for the subclass 191. Bearing in mind that you need to stay in the regional area and not move into the major cities like Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. So I hope that what I've just told you, it's a bit of a lot of details, but I hope you can understand the requirements for these subclasses. So continue with this 491 subclass. You must hold an eligible visa, have lived for at least 3 years in a designated regional area. Okay, have had a taxable income. So I mentioned the figure of 53,900 per year for 3 years. So let's say if the first year, for whatever happens, if the whole world is at war, I'm just saying, sorry, don't get into panic. But if we're trying to find work, you're trying to find work and it's very hard. If you don't earn at that level of 53,900, then you've squandered the first year. Then you move on to the second year. You've got 5 years to do so, okay? Now, also I need to mention that once you hold the 491 visa in your hand, there's no need for you to continue to work in that nominated occupation, okay? Suddenly, what if you don't want to work in that occupation anymore? You can work as an Uber driver plus cleaner plus retail manager, whatever it takes to make that taxable income, then you're okay, all right? So this is a table showing, to give you some more idea of how the general skilled migration visa work. It's probably like a recap, but it's to give you some more details for you. So let's just choose like the independent skilled visa 189 subclass. You need at least 65 points because with this particular subclass, you do not get any free points. Whatever you have from your own merits, from your own efforts to collate your points, that's it. So you have to have at least 65 points to your name and then you lodge your EUI. You must satisfy the skills assessment. You must have a full skills assessment in your possession from the relevant assessing authority body. So we mentioned before about a provisional skills assessment, that's only halfway. You need to get the full skills assessment. So the provisional skills assessment is used to help you to apply for your graduate visa, subclass 485 later. But that will not give you the full skills assessment requirement. You need to, after applying for your graduate visa, you must then find a job, a full-time job in a nominated occupation and work for, at least 12 months or thereof to satisfy the requirement from the job ready program. We're talking about trades here. Then you have to satisfy the requirement. Once that's done, then they'll issue you with the full skills assessment outcome letter being successful in your hand. Then and only then can you be eligible to lodge the expression of interest application online in Skills Select. The English language requirement for trades, you need at least 6 each in IELTS or PT equivalent, or from TOEFL or T and all that. And the visa type, well, it's a permanent. You'll get your PR if you get you'll be on the pathway for PR if you get invited for the 189 or the 190, as you can see. So let's move on because I've already mentioned a little bit about the other visas or subclass already. So, okay, maybe you would want to know about the points awarded for certain categories or criteria. You'll be awarded points for age, English language skills, all this. So let's talk about it. Let's see if this, okay. For age, from 18 years old to 24 years old, you can only claim 25 points to your name. From 25 years old to 32 years old, you can claim the maximum points is 30 points. The English language skills, if you only have competent English, which is 6 each, you cannot claim any points. It'll be 0 points. If you have proficient English, IELTS 7 in each, you can claim 10 points. If you can manage to get superior English, which is at least 8 in IELTS, you can claim 20 points. So skilled employment outside Australia, okay. Qualifications, if you have bachelor's degree or master's, you can claim 15 points. Certificate diploma, you can claim 10 points. You have PhD, you can claim 20 points. Australian study requirement, if you studied at least 2 years in Australia, you can claim 5 points. And specialist education qualification, you can claim 10 points. 10 points for partner skill, okay. If your partner is skilled, okay, then you can claim 10 points. That's 5 points for competent English, and also 5 points included for the skilled spouse or partner. For 15 points, you can claim that if you can find, if you have a family member who resides in a regional area, then you can claim from them 15 points. So first cousin, brothers, sisters, parents, uncles and aunties, and the list goes on. You get 10 points for STEM. If you study and have a qualification from STEM for science and technology, engineering, then such as a master's by research, you can claim 10 points to add to your points. 5 points for partner's competent English. So if your partner has at least 6.0 in IELTS, then you can claim 5 points for the partner. 10 points for applicants without a spouse. Okay, if you're single, then you can claim 10 points easily, all right? Okay, so we've come to the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to ask me any questions, I hope to be able to answer you. If not, then please put your comments in the inbox and we will be able to come back to you afterwards.
Thank you so much, Mai, for such a deep and informative session. But there are few questions which our participants wants to ask you. So the first question is from Ananta Mukherjee. He wants to ask, what will special condition imply means for TAS, like Tasmania, in case an applicant move interstate but has 1 year of experience, will that count for his employer sponsor options?
If you're talking about employer sponsorship, then you need to know golden rule. Whatever it takes, you need to show that you have already at least 2 years of work experience in your nominated occupation, okay, for you to even be eligible to touch or apply for the actual 482 visa, the employer sponsorship visa, okay? If you only have 1 year, then you're missing 1 year. So as long as from payslip or employment contract, you can prove easily that you've at least done 2 years of work experience, then wherever you go in Australia, any employer can sponsor you for the 482, okay?
So there is another question by Ananta Mukherjee only. So it's for 491 visa. Does the applicant and the partner both needs to earn 53,900 each for 3 years?
All right, so thank you for the question. It's a good question. Only one. So either you opt to be the person to earn that, or your partner. So even if you are the main applicant for the 491 visa, but if you decide between in the family household who would be able to earn at least that amount of money, then you can opt for that person to just earn that, not dual, not 2 people. Yeah, only one person can claim.
So there is another question by Ananta Mukherjee. So is it for like 491 visa, is it for 4 years or 5 years span? And has there been a change in the number of years?
From what I understand, it's a 5 years. So from the time that you got granted the 491, you have within 5 years to complete this obligation, the condition of 3 years. So even if you finish the 3rd year of showing 53,900, then you would satisfy that. Then you'll be eligible to then apply for the 191 visa.
Yeah, I think that's all the question which we have got. Okay. I would like participants, if you want to ask any question to Mrs. Mai, it will be really great, because the information she has provided for this session is really informative. I would really say, like, I've been in Australia from last 3-4 years, and this is the most informative session I have ever joined. So and it's been so clear, like what is for 190 visa, what is 491 visa, like you have clearly explained very clearly. So I would like any of our participants, you want to ask more question, please free. Okay, so I believe I think that's all question which we had for this session. So thank you so much, Mai, for providing with such an informative session. And thank you so much, participants, for attending the session. Please don't forget to leave your reviews for this session. A review link is shared in the chat box. Your feedback is much appreciated. Do not miss our tomorrow's informative session on exciting topics. Thank you so much for joining. Uh, we will be waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.